Hi there, these comments are for H. I'm just using your initials for privacy purposes, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. So I am reading your essay. So now what I want to do is I want to compare what you said with the model essay that I sent you. And even before we get started, we need to take a look at the reading passage, right? So according to the reading passage, we have a main idea: fast food restaurants contribute negatively to the health and diet of American citizens for 3 reasons: obesity, and a healthy society, and gluttony. So we know that that's the most important point. And then each of these body paragraphs focus on that. For example, it's basically saying in this paragraph that fast food restaurants cause obesity because of the calories and the large amounts of fat that are in those foods, and people using or eating fast food more on a regular basis, more now than ever, right? Now the second point in the second paragraph is that fast food contributes to an unhealthy society because the options for fast food are limited. What that means is, it says although street food in countries like China and Mexico provide options with vegetables and fruit, it's saying that fast foods have limited options for their customers. Now the final point in the reading says that fast food restaurants encourage gluttony because they offer the unlimited free refills, and so the consumers are drinking way too much soda. And that this is obviously causing people to get heavier. Now here's the question. It says, this is what you saw in the video: how do the main points of the listening passage conflict with the main points in the reading? So now we have to take a look at the lecture. So the lecture says in the beginning, it says the topic of today's lecture is the misconception of fast food restaurants and the lack of responsibility consumers take for their obesity, unhealthy lifestyle, and gluttonous ways. So the second point says that even though it says in the reading passage that fast food can cause obesity, the lecture says if obesity is caused by an inactive lifestyle along with consuming more calories than are needed. So that's how the lecture opposes, I think, the first point in the reading passage. Now remember that according to the reading passage that society is unhealthy because of the limited options offered at healthy or at fast food restaurants. But then the lecture says, even though it says fast food chains do serve mostly fat and cholesterol driven food, but we have now created options like apples or fruit for kids and more salad options. And even in some states like California and New York, the calorie count of each menu item must be on the menu. So the lecture disagrees to an extent. The lecture acknowledges that fast food does have a lot of cholesterol and a lot of fat in the food, but according to the lecture, many fast food restaurants are offering more healthy options now, which is in direct contrast to what was said in the reading passage. Now, the last point, remember gluttony. The point here is not smoking cigarettes and not drinking alcohol. That's not the point. Here is the point. Fast food chains are part of American society and do not necessarily promote gluttony. One can overcome gluttony simply by not eating and drinking large amounts of fast food chains every day. We can still enjoy burger, fries, and milkshake, but we don't have to consume them in large amounts. So then we have our 3 reading points, we have our 3 lecture points, and we're showing how they are different. Okay, now let's take a look at your first paragraph. You say, many people realize that they can get a value meal at numerous fast food restaurants for far less money than it takes to purchase food to make a healthy meal for their family. fast food restaurants contribute to overweight and are very dangerous to body health specific in the United States. There are a lot of fast food restaurant chains such as MacDonald's, KFC, Taco Bell, and In-N-Out. Wherever, the fast food is the biggest risk to children because there is no control for those who are eating fast food. There are many reasons why the fast food restaurants contribute negatively to the health and diet of American citizens. They cause obesity, create an unhealthy society, and promote gluttony. Okay, now let me compare your introduction, and let's take a look at it. Your introduction is 120 words, so that's a lot. Now let's compare your introduction with the second one. It says, in this set of materials, the reading passage characterizes 3 reasons why fast food contributes to obesity in the United States, and the lecture opposes what the author says in his descriptions. Now, this introduction is very short. It's only 32 words. So you've written approximately 73 words more than what we see here. Now, this essay gets a higher score than yours, and why is that? Now, if we go back to the question, how do the main points of the listening passage conflict with the main points of the reading passage? Your essay, the introduction, your first paragraph doesn't answer that question. Notice you don't say anything about the reading passage. You don't say anything about the lecture. You're not showing what the relationship is between the reading passage and the lecture. So you misunderstand, or you misunderstood what the writing assignment is for whatever reason, so you have not answered the question. So let's go to your next paragraph. First, the fast food chains provide fast and cheap food. The long-time effect of obesity are a result of the food. In addition, fast food become one of the daily for kids and adults. McDonald is one of the biggest fast food chains in the United States. In fact, there is control for who are drink alcohol or cigarettes. For example, drinking alcohol who is younger than 21 years old are not illegal. Also, buy cigarettes is illegal for who is less than 18 years old. So the fast food threatens, I think you want to say there, threatens human health. Now let's compare that paragraph with the second paragraph here. First, the reading passage says that fast food causes obesity because this kind of food contains too many calories and fat. On the other hand, now this is where your essay is very different. You didn't really capture, I think, the most important point in the lecture. You talked about alcohol, tobacco, and so on, but that was not really the focus. On the other hand, the lecture says that obesity is caused by an inactive lifestyle. Although the author in the audio grants the excess of calories in fast food, he argues that the real reason for obesity comes from sedentary activities like watching television and playing video games. So this is what's very different from what you said. You didn't really say anything in the lecture about an inactive lifestyle, that an inactive lifestyle can also cause obesity. That was a very, very important point. So the fact that you left that out, and again, it's not even clear when you're talking about the reading passage, when you're talking about the lecture, you're not putting any voice markers in the paragraph to acknowledge the sources. Where does all this information come from? Remember, when you're summarizing information, you have to do it from the author's point of view. You have to summarize it from the speaker's point of view. And that way we know it's a summary, and it's not just some facts or information that you're explaining to your audience. All right, let's take a look at your next paragraph. You say, second, the fast food also contributes to an unhealthy society that's plagued with high cholesterol, diabetes, and disease. We must take other options like apples and oranges. We must compensate our bodies and take some vitamins that is lost from fast food. The fast food advertisements have unfortunately helped unhealthy food become a staple of the American diet. Okay, now let's take a look at the reading passage in the lecture here. So it's saying here that society is unhealthy because the options for fast food are limited, right? That's a key idea. And then we have, it says fast food chains do serve mostly fat and cholesterol driven food, but now we have created options like apples or fruit for kids and so on. Now my question is, this information here, the reading passage or the lecture doesn't say anything about taking vitamins that is lost from fast food. It doesn't make any nutritional statements about it. So you're putting information in here that was actually not mentioned in either the reading or the listening passage. So when you're summarizing, it's important. You don't want to misrepresent information. You don't want to add information that's not mentioned or leave out important information. You're kind of doing both of these things here. Now let's compare your paragraph with the example below. It says, second, the reading passage says that fast food creates an unhealthy society because the options in these kinds of restaurants are limited. In contrast, the lecture says that in some states like California and New York, actually now restaurants show to their customers the information about calories of each item in the menu. Furthermore, there are different options in fast food restaurants like apples, fruit, or salad. So this one it's clear. Number one, the writer's using words like the reading passage and the lecture. The writer also uses things like in contrast. If you notice this, you see the word on the other hand being used here. If you go to the previous paragraph, it uses on the other hand. The reason that the writer is doing this is because this helps us understand the response to the question. Remember, the response is, how do the main points of the listening passage conflict with the main points of the reading passage? So obviously, according to the question, the information in the lecture is different and disagrees with the information in the reading. So when I look at your essay, I cannot tell what the relationship is between the reading and the listening passage, really for two reasons. Number one, you're not acknowledging either source by saying the reading passage or the author in the reading passage or the speaker or the lecture states. And the other thing is, so you're not naming or acknowledging that, and you're also not using transitional words of contrast to show how the information from the reading and the lecture are different. For example here, if you use the word in fact introduces maybe an important detail, but it doesn't show how what you're saying here is different from what you said before. So there isn't a really clear, what I call compare and contrast relationship with your ideas. Okay, let's go to the last one. It says, finally, fast food restaurants encourage gluttony. Although these fast foods are very big and it has a full of saturated fat, but it promotes gluttony. Therefore, it increases the weight, for example, eating outside of a prescribed time. So let's compare with what you said here. So it does say in the reading passage that fast food restaurants promote gluttony. But the lecture disagrees with that. The lecture says that it's true that you have unlimited refills and you can eat a lot of food at fast food restaurants, but the customers or patrons should exercise self-control. They don't have to eat or drink all those things. Right? So let's compare with what you said to what the other person says here. Third, the reading passage says that fast food promotes gluttony because people can drink unlimited sodas with too much sugar, for example. On the other hand, the author in the lecture argues that people can control their consumption so they can enjoy fast food, but they can also decide how much they should eat and drink. Right? So here, we have a very clear relationship here. We know that this information here is coming from the reading passage. We also know that this information is coming from the lecture, and we know that the information is different because of the use of the word on the other hand. We can see that relationship. Again, when I go back to your paragraph, I cannot see that relationship, and in fact, you have omitted the most important point from the lecture, which says that we don't automatically have to be gluttonous in our eating habits, that we can exercise our self-control by not drinking all the unlimited refills that we can drink when we go to a restaurant. So that, you left that out. So then you have, in conclusion, they cause obesity, create an unhealthy society, and promote gluttony are many reasons why the fast food restaurants contribute negatively to the health and diet of American citizens. Fast food is one of the biggest dangers, and consuming it regularly most definitely affect your health negatively. So again, what you're saying here is not clearly framed around the writing prompt or the reading passage or the lecture. So this is what you could have done. Finally, although the reading explains 3 reasons why fast food contributes to obesity, the author in the lecture opposes those ideas with different arguments. Okay, so now, the question is now, what is your score and why? Alright, so with your essay, we got trouble, I'll be honest with you, so you cannot score in the 5 range, the 4 range, the 3 range. The 2 range, let me look at the 1 range here. You're going to have to score in the 1 range on this one, so there's 2 main problems with your essay here. Your response contains little meaningful or relevant content from the lecture. You didn't even name the lecture a single time in your entire essay, so it isn't exactly clear what information that you're explaining comes from the lecture, and you actually left out most of the important points from the lecture. Furthermore, you have not presented this information in an organized manner. So if you compare what you wrote with the model that I gave you, the model has a more coherent organization. Now, that's not the only problem. Your language errors are so severe that it's difficult to even get the meaning of your ideas. So you really have the organizational and the grammatical problems. And as you know, you definitely want to keep working in the grammar part of my course. Go through all of the lessons. My recommendation is to go through them many times until you feel a lot more comfortable with your word choice, with your sentence construction, with your punctuation, and all the other areas important to helping you write at the graduate level. Okay, so I'm going to put you here at about 1.5 out of 5, 11 points out of 30 on this particular practice test. Now, if we look at this syllabus, you might want to look at it right now. Got it right here. So what we have to do is figure out your score right now. Okay, so go to page 9 in the syllabus so you can figure out how I'm getting you the score. Okay, a score of 1.5 is going to put you at 58% on this assignment. Now, to be honest with you, I could probably have given you really no credit at all with this assignment, but I wanted to give you some credit. Okay, so what does this tell me as an English professor? It's telling me that you're having trouble with research type writing. You're not sure how to paraphrase or summarize other people's ideas and do it from their point of view. It also tells me you're having problems with your reading and your listening proficiency. It's hard for you to read right now and to get the most important points out of the reading, but it's especially more difficult for you to get the main point from the lecture or the main points from the lecture. Alrighty? So my recommendation there is to help you overcome some of those difficulties. I have a really good reading section in my course. I recommend that you go through those lessons. I also have a listening section. You should go through those lessons. You should also go through the lessons in the grammar part of my course. I promise you, If you go through those lessons over the next 4 or 5 weeks, it will really, really help you to improve your academic English language proficiency and better prepare you to enter your graduate studies as a student at California State University, San Bernardino. All right? Anyway, thank you very much for completing this assignment.